This year, blessing, money, testimony. Go to follow, you they go.
This year, good news, giant plenty bonding. Go to follow, you they go.
Everything I've been wanting, manifesting from my life.
This year, blessings, money, testimony. Go to follow, you they go. Hello. Guess who's back? It's me, it's CGM, the Superwoman. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, at whatever time you are watching this. I hope you're as excited as I am for today's topic. For those who are wondering who I am, please do refer to my previous video where I get to share some details about myself. Of course, there will be times where I'm going to share, specific details about myself, but for now, I think that's enough. Yes, anyways, my name is Cindy Glory Mpolomoka, and I'm a Zambian lady based in Lusaka. Yes, so today's topic, coming excited for today's topic. All right, so before we get into today's topic, guess what? I am wearing a boo-boo. I'm wearing a boo-boo. I'm not so sure how people call it in their different cultures, countries, but here in Zambia, we call it a boo-boo. Yes, so it's a long dress, that makes you look very mature. At least I believe so. Last year I really wanted it for my birthday. I remember putting it on my status. I was like, God, I really want a boo-boo. And guess what? My best friends got me a boo-boo. Yes, and it's interesting how on the first day that I wore it, someone came to me and said, you look mature. I'm like, that's the goal. That's what I wanted. I wanted to look mature. All right, so I'm not so sure if I look as mature right now, but yes, I really love this, and I do plan on getting more of these because I just feel they're very comfortable. Yeah, they're very comfortable. Anyways, let's get into today's topic. So what are we going to be looking at today? So today we're going to be looking at an interesting topic that I've decided to entitle Loving You. Ooh, loving you. Yes, so I find it interesting, that the Bible talks about how before we get to love others, we should actually love ourselves. It says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So meaning loving you is the foundation. There are so many things that loving you, can actually get to birth. So many things from my encounters, from my experiences. There's so much about loving you that has to actually do, with you keeping a straight mindset, you having a heart that is not burdened with unnecessary burden. Yeah, so there are many facets, to the phrase loving you. There are many angles from which we can actually look at loving you, and today I would like to look at one thing, one thing, which is loving you and the abilities that God has placed in you. So we're living in a world where, we have people rising up with different talents, different gifts, expressing themselves in different ways, and one thing that I always, go back to is, how did they start? How did they begin? How did they manage to actually just break out of their shell in a particular way? So we're living in a time where it's actually very, very easy to be discouraged. Yeah, it's very, very easy to be discouraged, especially if you have, an ability that does not seem as eye-catching to the world, as we may actually want it to be, or if you have something about yourself that you're not so sure would be accepted by the society at large. Let me just give you an example. Before I actually decided to show who I really am, to the world, to my friends, I actually battled with me coming out a certain way. I remember one time I was telling the Lord, God, I think I'm just supposed to be this quiet person. I'm just supposed to be this girl who, just maybe posts one thing on her status, goes offline, and continues living my life. I tried that for I think 2 days. Yeah, and it was so unfulfilling. I just felt like I had so much I wanted to do, but because I thought, as a lady I'm supposed to be very quiet, I'm supposed to be chilled, I'm not supposed to actually express myself a certain way. Let me just keep my drama to myself. Let me just let me just be me, with walls built around. And I remember the Lord asked me a question.
Who told you to do that?
I was like, what? He asked me, I was like, who told you to do that? I didn't say I want you to do that, so whether you try to, consecrate yourself and hide yourself a particular way, that's not what I told you to do. And, that opened up my mind to a certain reality that sometimes we can actually be living in a fake identity, an identity that you have decided to create for yourself and not an identity that God has given you. So there are different things that God has placed in each and every one of us. I'm looking at the person who started YouTube. I can imagine when the idea came into their head, saying I should start a YouTube channel. They were probably asking themselves questions like, is this going to work? How will people look at me? If they had a family, what is my family going to say about this? But look at this platform today. It has more than 300,000 people streaming daily, more than 600,000 people posting their videos right here, all because that person decided to take that one big step. So what has God placed on the inside of you? Do you love what God has called you to be? Do you love who God has called you to be enough, to embrace its totality, to embrace it fully? I'm looking at Exodus. Exodus is an interesting book. There's a part where the Lord was giving instructions, to the Israelites, and he gave specifics. Like he said, I want it to be 3 centimeters long. I want this to be like this. I want this to be this color, and then he goes on to say, do ensure that you make it according to the pattern I've shown you, which shows us one thing here, that God has a pattern for you. God has a way that he wants you to live out your life. If he's given you the grace to be very dramatic, who knows, that drama might just actually brighten up someone's day, but if you decide to keep it in a cage, who will benefit from it? If he's given you the ability to write, those writings that you keep keeping in your, in your bedroom, who knows if they're actually supposed to go global. So there's so much actually about accepting and embracing your abilities that that can actually take you very, 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 very far. So I am aware that sometimes people get discouraged because of the standard that society has placed. You can't do ABCD because you are maybe a lady. You can't do ABCD because you are a guy. I know of some good makeup artists who are actually male, and the genesis of that is they had to step out of their comfort zone. I'm not so sure about how people reacted to one of the the first male makeup artists, but today we see it as a trend. We see it as something that's very global, and that was them embracing what God had placed on the inside of them. So if you do not step into that which God has called you to do, if you do not love yourself enough and you do not embrace those abilities that God has given you, the people you are supposed to impact, the people you are supposed to to inspire, you will never inspire them. Imagine going to heaven and God is showing you how your life would have been if you had just obeyed him. Probably, let's say you have a passion for fixing shoes. I know that sounds like weird, like passion for fixing shoes, but I do believe there are people who genuinely have the passion for fixing shoes. And let's say you present this to someone and say, I really want to go this direction. Excuse me? They'll probably look at you like, excuse me? Like, fixing shoes, like, isn't there anything else you can do in life other than fixing shoes? And then maybe because of fear of fear of the unknown, sometimes fear of what people will say, you decide to sit on that gift, you decide to sit on that ability that you have, and then you go to heaven and God shows you this is what you would have made out of you actually embracing what I had placed in you. And you're like, oh my God, it's actually too late. So before it's too late, do make sure on a daily basis, you check yourself, check if you are just living out other people's lives, or you're actually living out the life that God has called you to live. Each and every one of us, with our unique abilities, with our unique strengths, we come together and we make the world a better place. So wherever you are, do embrace what God has placed on the inside of you and do it, with everything in you. Do it with everything in you. I find it interesting that after I decided, say, God, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be very dramatic. For those who know me, who know me really well, I love to talk. I love talking. I love laughing. I love being dramatic, as in it makes me me. I find it interesting that a lot of people do come to me, on a daily basis, saying, if you had not done that, I wouldn't have known A, B, C, D, which for me makes me realize that, okay, me stepping out is actually me, impacting a great number of people, impacting so many people, so embrace what God has placed in you, embrace who God has called you to be, love yourself enough, to accept yourself. Don't be caught up in standards, that God has not even given you, so that's basically about loving you. That's all I wanted to share. Of course, there are other facets of loving you, such as loving your appearance, like loving how God has created you. I'll get to talk about that maybe in my upcoming videos, because that was also another side. That was also another side that the Lord had to deal with, a certain way. But for today, I just wanted to encourage someone out there. What God has placed in you, that ability. Do you write? Do you sing? Are you an outgoing person? Are you a loud person? Embrace it. Are you quiet? Embrace it, and let nobody, talk you out of it. Let nobody talk you out of, what God has called you to be. So that has been for today's episode, loving you. Do not forget to like, to share, to subscribe, and everything we're doing, everything I'm saying here is for one particular reason, which is your heart matters. Thank you so much. See you in my next episode.